All right, y'all. Leland Live talking to 5305 as we get cranked up this hour. Storm Restoration Roofing bringing you the show. I do appreciate Greg Nelson. And right now, he is coming in handy with a lot of folks in our area with that hailstorm that came through last week. And we've got more potential hail type weather tomorrow night, potentially in the forecast. That could be more of a West Alabama situation. Stay tuned for details on that as they get further developed. But Greg has just been an expert in so many ways for people with roof problems. One, maybe you just need somebody to get up there and check it out and make sure it's okay. He does that. He'll come out and give you an estimate or let you know that you're good to go. And I'll just tell you, Greg's like that. He's not going to tell somebody they need something they don't need. Secondly, if you do have damage, he can document the damage, the time frame of it, and make you even more eligible to get your insurance claim covered if you've got an insurance claim. When it comes to insurance claims, sometimes there are huge deductibles associated with a claim, and that's a shock to people when they have roof damage. Well, Greg has finance companies associated with his business that'll come along and help you with that. Then, of course, there's the ever present, well, the roof's old and it's time to make some changes and get a new roof. Greg's good for you on that too, both with the financing up to certain amounts. And then, of course, with just getting the work done correctly so that the warranties are all intact. Look, when you meet him, you're going to like him. The guy's been at it almost 30 years, knows everybody. He's who you trust. Put this number down somewhere. You're going to inevitably have to call Greg, and I'm not going to be around for you to chase me down and get this phone number. So here we go. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531. Storm Restoration Roofing. Okay. Man, we haven't even really touched on a lot of the Iranian stories today. I wind up getting off on John Thune and his failure on the SAVE Act and the implications for that. By the way, news on that's just pouring in right now. More and more people are just piling onto the Senate Majority Leader over his stance today that he doesn't have the votes to do it. Folks are really, really, really pissed off. It goes from Rand Paul to Elon Musk to the president and all of us regular folks out here in the real world. We'll get into some more of that here in a minute. As the Iranian front goes, there was a Defense Department news conference this morning. We've hit 5,000 different targets, just the United States. We have not escorted any ships as of yet through the Strait of Hormuz. We've not had to do that. That's actually good news as ship traffic has started to pick back up and that stabilized the oil markets. All of that happening. Then there's the fear here at home of any kind of domestic situation, whether we would have some violence. There's a report coming in this afternoon that those two little thugs that tried to throw those homemade, really they are IEDs, improvised explosive devices, at the protest crowd and or the cops outside the mayor's home in New York City. Y'all know that story by now. There are a lot of angles to this today. Authorities have been searching some storage units that were under the control of these two, perhaps even more people. And there are reports coming out of Pennsylvania this afternoon that they have found more explosive material. Now, it might be the original material that they used to develop those improvised bombs, or it could be actual constructed bombs. We don't have any of that information yet. These two were completely serious about causing death and destruction. In fact, they told authorities their main goal was to exceed the Boston bombers' death toll when the Boston bombers did their destruction there. So we're going to have to continue to follow this. And I'm going to tell you, there is a picture of one of the New York City police chiefs. He's a two-star chief in the New York department. His name is Aaron Edwards. Have you seen this picture of him jumping the fence today, AJ? This dude leapt over one of the go say And so there's been a complete attempt, especially with the New York City media and our Al Jazeera America, which is now called CNN, to whitewash this whole thing. Let me give you some background. And, we're used to it by now. CNN has, that's why they've lost credibility in their audience. And now they're going to get probably spun off completely with all these media mergers because they're a money losing operation. Um, this is a tweet they put out. I say tweet, it was a post of some kind in the immediate aftermath, and it got derided. Even some people on the left were like, "Ouch, I wouldn't have said it that way." Even that commie Muslim mayor up there didn't take this approach. Now he tried to play victim and blame the whole thing on white supremacy. But the white supremacists, if you want to assume the protesters were that, they weren't the ones with the bombs. The ones with the bombs was your usual suspects. It was these radicalized Muslims that got training by ISIS overseas and came here and put together some crude bombs and failed. Here's how CNN wrote the story in the immediate aftermath. Listen to this language. Two Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning on what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during an abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zoran Mamdami's house. Here's what we know. That's the way they characterize two radical ISIS wannabes who packed some of the most dangerous, volatile explosives um, into screws and nuts and glass and bolts, taped the whole thing up, put a crude lit fuse on it, walked up into a crowd and lit it and threw it in front of cameras, yelling Allah Akbar. That was two Pennsylvania teenagers crossing over into the city on a nice little flowy spring day. Now, who the hell wrote that? CNN got embarrassed and pulled it down. The person that wrote it, by the way, has they, them pronouns in her profile and went to the Columbia Journalism School. I see a pattern. They're an absolute journalistic joke, and we shouldn't even use the word journalism alongside them anymore. But they still keep doing it. And it's because there is a critical mass of uninformed people in this country that will believe anything, and they watch The View and they watch CNN, and that's their whole bubble from which they derive information, and that's the kind of stuff they're getting. It's just complete nonsense. People could have been absolutely murdered in the streets. And again, it was the same people that keep doing all the murdering in all of these attacks, as much as they try to whitewash it. So now the next move is to memory hole the whole thing and pretend like it didn't happen. Oh, I saw somebody do a parody of it today. It may have been the Babylon Bee. They said, a group of 19 college age kids boarded planes today, heading to their destinations all over America. Obviously, writing a fake narrative about 9/11 when it happened, if it had been described that way. This is the same city, by the way, that was hit on 9/11. They just elected a mayor that last night, I mean, the day after this happens. And by the way, the mayor's house in New York City is called Gracie Mansion, had to be evacuated. It's still being evacuated at this hour because there's another potential bomb threat. They got bomb sniffing dogs and stuff out there coming from maniac Muslims in a city, of which he's one. And he and his ungrateful American hating wife hosted a dinner last night for that Columbia University radical that was turning the campus upside down a while back. This guy, this guy who's soon to be deported, I assume, depending on which court rules when. They hosted a dinner. This Khalil guy, they hosted a little dinner and posted a Norman Rockwell type photo of the wife, who, by the way, the mayor says is a private figure. She's a maniac. Her serving the guy. Okay, so think about this. Here's what the mayor could have done. He could have invited Officer Aaron Edwards over to his house for saving those people and jumping a fence in his dress blues, by the way. He had a coat and his slick shoes on. That wasn't the best outfit to get over a barrier. The dude leapt the barrier and went for the bomb to save people around him. He didn't ask any questions. And instead of honoring that, the mayor of their city basically has a terrorist over to dinner. And then there's this, and I presume this video is correct. It was so good, I thought it's got to be AI. It has to be AI. So you had this liberal out there with a bullhorn, and I have this belief that every bedwetter in the country has a secret bullhorn somewhere in their house. They're ready to go at any moment. It's right next. They keep their nose ring on the nightstand, and then there's a bullhorn over there somewhere. And so this guy, this Poon, is out there with his bullhorn, and I'm going to reenact it just a little bit. Right as the moment where he goes, where he says to the crowd, he's chanting against these right wing people that are out there yelling about Muslims. He's chanting, "Everyone is welcome in our city." Have you seen this video, AJ?
I have seen the
He's
video.
got his video. He's got his little bullhorn. He's like, "Everyone is welcome in our city." And the minute he says it, one of the bomb throwers literally leaps over his back and yells, "Allah Akbar," and throws his little smoky Batman bomb. I mean, in the moment, you couldn't get you can't paint a clearer picture of the suicide pact that some cities and indeed some states have in this country over this issue than that right there. One group virtue signaling, pretending that everyone is welcome, and then one of those welcome people is trying to blow people up with a bomb. It can't. That's the meme of the year. There's not anything close, and it's been a hell of a year. And that's New York City's future right now. That's what they voted for. So there's a wrap on that. We'll let you know if there's any updates on the bomb search. They're looking for more explosive material. I was asked today by a good friend, do we think there's going to be any more of this sort of suicide bomber terrorist threat here in the country? I think we've got to presume that there will be. Just like I was telling you a couple of days ago, there's going to be a rise in the price of oil. It's pretty obvious, and it'll come back down. It's pretty obvious. I think we have to be prepared to react to something else that they're going to attempt to do. The Iranian regime itself has lost almost all ability to fire missiles and to do anything else. They've lost their navy. At best, they try to mine the Strait of Hormuz or set off terror cells around the world or target their neighbors even further, which is just drawing more people in against them. And as they flail and as they get more cornered and more desperate, yes, any vulgar, low tech approach to striking back against the people that struck at them, yeah, they'll do it. And even people that are inspired out of sympathy toward the Mullah regime will act out, even without that direction. So it's not going to surprise me that even today or tomorrow we have another headline like that where there's another attempt. You just got to pray that it's not successful and that eventually tensions calm down. But the world has to confront this madness. There's no room in a peaceful society for these folks and the way they do things. It is a militant government political body. It's not just a religion. And everywhere they go, they bring this kind of chaos. All right, 318. Lots going on today. We'll go back to the phones here in a minute. I know I got a little rambly, but we had to deal with some stuff. Mandu bringing you the show tonight. MANDUU. Mandu.com. Mandu.com. Y'all, this is a cool way to get resistance training if you've not done resistance training. I know you've tried everything. And I'll be honest with you, at a certain age in life, even that doesn't have the same benefits as it did when you used to go to the gym and put a couple of plates on and bench press and, flex in the mirror and walk around the gym. All that's out of date. As you grow older, as you lose mobility, this electronic muscle stimulation could be just the thing to keep you toned, do it efficiently. It's only a 15-minute workout. It works the whole body. And then you can't even go every day. You can only go every couple of days. It's so intense. I think you'll like it. It's a little weird at first. They'll let you try it for free, and it's a little strange. It's a strange sensation. But check it out over the next 2 days and see how you feel. And I'm telling you, it's breakthrough stuff for a lot of people that need that little push to keep and not give up. Don't give up on yourself. Try something different. Mandu. Now they've got a location that's open in Tuscaloosa now over on University. Of course, we got Paul's operation over in Homewood. They've got a location in Huntsville. All of them are open to you to come try it for free. You can sign up for the one closest to you at mandu.com, MANDUU, mandu.com, mandu.com. Man, it's 3:24 already as we get on through the afternoon. Big events. We get some updates coming up here in just a little bit on some of the things we've already covered. Looks like Thune may put the Save Act on the floor, but it's a stunt. It's a stunt. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. First up, let me talk to you a little bit about our friends over at Lonnie's Furniture Company. I don't know what your weekend plans are or even your weekday plans, but you owe it to yourself to go see this store at least once, even if you're not in the market for furniture. It's just an impressive setup there in the little small town of Kimberly, Alabama. I start to turn my attention to outdoor stuff, and I'm grooming my property and working on things and fighting weeds and pollen right now. And one of the things that I picked up years ago for outdoor furniture from Lonnie, I said these. I have these two Adirondack chairs. I don't know why I picked super bright white. I think I was thinking when I bought them, oh boy, they're going to get ugly after a couple of seasons. I just looked at them this morning when I walked outside. They're bright as they look like they're brand new. I hit them with some cleaner solvent this year instead of the pressure washer. Came right back off. Here's the point: this polywood material that's made by Green Country is just durable and beautiful. The color goes all the way through the material, so it's not painted. So it's not going to peel or chip or lose its color or fade. It can't even fade. And it's also heavy and durable. So it's got that touch and the tactile feel of real wood, but the durability of a whole different animal. They can have it ordered for you, and they've got a bunch of it on site at Lanius, but they can order it in any configuration you want, whether you want a high top bar set up, kind of a high top table with some stools for that kind of outdoor thing. If you want a glider, a larger piece, they got little low tables. I've got Adirondacks, which I think are just comfortable to sit in outside. And wherever you put that thing, it's not going anywhere. These storms and this rain's not going to move it. I bet those chairs weigh 50 pounds a piece. They're hard to move, but I love that. I like durability, and I've had mine for over 6 years now, and they just look great. You've got your choice of colors too. He's got a whole color palette that you can choose from when you want to make your order. So y'all go see him for everything inside the home. Lazy Boy, Bassett, Stressless, all of these brands you know, beautiful stuff, well appointed, beautifully staged, a huge mattress section, deals all the time, financing if you need it. Talk to them. It's my store. They've been around. They've been around for 92 years. They know what they're doing. It's LaniusFurnitureCompany.com, LAUNIUS, LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. Let's get Joe from Coleman in here as we roll along this afternoon. Joe, what's up, man?
I don't know if we get this thing passed or not, but I do think that Elon Musk could play a role as the ultimate bundler on the conservative side if he could ever get. I don't agree with the guy's politics all around, but there's one thing that he is, and it is a fiscal conservative.
Oh yeah,
and I think we can all agree on that. If we could ever get him rolling and becoming a bundler for our side and start to actually threaten to primary some of these guys, you know what I mean? If they don't step up, now there has to be some results to scare the bejesus out of them. And I don't even know if that would work if it's too far gone anyway. But that's the only way that I see something like this happening. I think something like the SAVE Act is going to have to fail getting passed before we get anything moving in this street. Does this make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's what Thune's trying to set up a quick floor vote and hoping a couple of he's still got the 60 vote standard there, which is what we're asking him to change. He won't change it, and it means it needs 60 to get past the Democrats. So he's giving the Democrats power, and it's going to fail because of that. Just like these government shutdowns, he's playing into their hands with that too. And then he can claim he did all he could do. He just didn't have the votes. That's what he's going to do.
But I think what's gonna have to happen is we're gonna have to lose the House or lose the. I mean, we may still win the Senate, but we're gonna have to lose the House in this next coming election for something to begin to change. And I hate it, but I mean, his policies at whatever congressional legislation he wants passed is going to be lame duck the last 2 years of his administration.
Yep.
And we're just going to have to hope for the next guy to come along, and we're just more time. I hate it. I mean, I hate it, but these things don't happen overnight. And
listen,
we always believed that Trump was the start of something, right?
He's the
So
start of it, but
hopefully
we
that's
will
it.
never
You
have a
know,
moment in time where there's this much support for getting something like this reformed. It'll never get done now. This is our moment. It's going to fail. And I'll play the soundbite for you here in a minute. By the way, Katie Britt was positioning herself right next to him in the camera. She's so she's so
if
out
it
of
fails,
touch
I
right
hope
now.
you're wrong about that. I
Yeah,
hope you're wrong about this being that moment. I hope there's another moment later on
I
if
do
it does
too.
fail.
But
But anyway,
thanks,
all right.
Joe.
See you, man.
All right,
All
man.
right, bye.
Music's playing. Bottom of the hour. Back here in a minute. Leland Live. All right, let's go again. Leading live talking in 335 as we roll on into the afternoon. Ox Foundation Solutions next up on the show. If you got any kind of problems with your foundation, or maybe you just don't know, it's one of those difficult things to diagnose because if you're like me, I'm not crawling under a crawl space. I don't need to get under there. I wouldn't know what I was looking at. And some folks, you just get a sense of it, or you've seen cracks in the wall or cracks in the sheetrock or something's kind of wonky. A door suddenly is sticky or a window won't open. The house isn't square and plumb anymore. That's when you need Ox over there to just give you a diagnosis. It could be something minor that you've caught early because you're a good homeowner and you're paying attention, or it could be something big or something that's about to be big. All I know is the sooner they get there, the quicker they can fix it, the less it costs to get fixed. The good thing about Ox too is they do all the services. So if that shift in the foundation has also got a water intrusion, that's how it happens. Water wants to erode the soil, cause a shift in a crack, then get in through the crack, then set up shop, and it can cause mold and other moisture issues. Ox fixes all that: the mold, the water retention, getting that water out, leveling the home, and of course, finally, once you've got it all done, encapsulation. It is oxstrong.com. That's how you get these pros over to your house. Let them come take a look. Don't let it fester, especially here in the rainy season. Oxstrong.com. Well, let me go back to the SAVE Act for a minute. Somehow it's taken first place in the news cycle over everything else. So Thune just came out and he did a news conference. I noticed that our Senator Britt positioned herself a couple of times to make sure she stays in the shot. I'll give her credit, AJ. She's good at that, man. She knows those camera angles. She'll squeeze right in there and get in the gap.
Mm-hmm.
She's a tiny little thing. So she got on camera while Thune delivered to the country that he just can't do anything about it. He doesn't have enough votes for the SAVE Act. These people have the majority. And he's going by the old country club rules of the Senate, and he's afraid to fight it. And as others have said today, the Republicans don't have the fight in them and the will to stand there and actually physically filibuster. So if the Democrats pose a filibuster, Republicans have to be able to staff that and man it and be there 24/7 until it's over. And they don't want to do that. They're too lazy. They've got social lives and fundraisers scheduled, and it's a cushy lifestyle when you don't have to do anything. And you know what that means? People like Thune would just as soon be in the minority. I know that sounds crazy. Think about it for a minute. If you are a real fighter, you want the power to fight, right? You want the chairmanship. You want to be majority leader. You want to be in charge of the rules so you can shove it down their freaking throats. That's what a fighter does. You break the beer bottle in the alley and you go to war. That's not Thune, though. Thune just wants the status. They get paid the same whether they're in the majority or the minority. It's easier to fundraise sometimes if you're in the minority in that you can play victim and go home and claim, well, we do something, but those damn Democrats, they're just running all over us. If we just had more money, we could go up there and fight them. And then you give them more money, they get the majority, and then they go up there and they don't do anything. So let's start, AJ. I sent you some sound bites. I want to get some of this in here. Here's Thune claiming that he just can't get it done. He'll put it on the floor. I mean, I'll put it out there, but we don't have 60 votes to beat back the Dems on this.
Run a risk of being on the wrong side of President Trump and your resistance to do this talking filibuster, tying the Senate in knots for weeks?
We don't have the votes either to proceed, get on a talking filibuster, nor to sustain one if we got on it. But that is just a function of math. And there isn't anything I can do about that. I mean, I understand the president's got a passion to see this issue addressed, as we all do.
Does he understand that, though?
Well, we've conveyed that to him, but we will continue to make that argument because I think it's important that everybody understand that this really is about the votes, it's about the math. And I'm for better or worse, I'm the one who has to be the clear-eyed realist about what we can achieve here. And so we'll continue to convey that. And I think that we're going to have the fight on the floor. We're going to vote on this. We're going to put it up, and we'll give the Democrats the opportunity to cast their vote on whether or not they think non-citizens ought to vote in American elections.
He's been saying that the whole time. We still don't have a vote. They're running the clock. They're running the clock till they get to their next recess, make excuses. At some point, and there's an artificial deadline here, and I need y'all to understand this. He's hoping to maybe put it on the floor or have to deal with this when it's too late to affect this election cycle. We're in that window. We're having the primaries right now. And if you don't get these voter rules into the states and have the states change their setup and change their laws and their procedures ahead of the election, it's moot. It's moot. It's meaningless. And if he can stall long enough, the people that don't want this get what they want. There's a lot at play here. That guy is a straight loser, and we'll have more to say about it here in just a little bit. Now, let's do the Rand Paul soundbite. Rand Paul, of course, was there too. Well, he wasn't there in that news conference, but had some stuff to say today as he was being interviewed about the same subject. Even Rand Paul, as squishy as he can be on some things, is ready to get this thing on the floor. Other senators are frustrated. They got to go home and tell people why they failed at this. Here's Rand Paul.
What is to become of the SAVE Act? We're hearing a lot of mixed messaging now. And of course, now John Thune saying that it's just people being paid to be a thorn in my side, a thorn in my paw. It's very annoying. It's very insulting. But this is something that the American people want. I mean, you're able to see the election raids in Georgia and in Maricopa County yesterday. We just had on two guests that were talking about exactly like how critical our election infrastructure is and how China has hacked it. I mean, like explicitly, that information is going to come out. It just seems like a critical time to pass this legislation.
Yeah, I'm for the SAVE Act and for the federal government saying you have to show an ID for federal elections. I will say, though, that each state should act, and we shouldn't give up also on the states acting. For example, in my state, after 2020, I pushed and pushed and pushed, and we now only vote on paper. We have paper ballots 100%. We vote in person, 99% in person. You have to sign an affidavit, and it's a felony. My wife and I went in to vote, and I was going to be in Washington. I voted absentee. My wife said, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in Washington, but she didn't want to sign the affidavit saying she wasn't going to be there because she wanted to obey the law. So she ended up not signing and ended up finally voting in person. But we vote in person, and that is a good way. So, but there are many states. Look, Arizona, Utah, all these Western states are mailing out universal ballots. They've been Republican states. Why in the world are they mailing out ballots to everybody? The states also should act, get rid of mail-in ballots, and require an ID. I think Utah and Arizona do not require.
You get where Rand Paul. Everybody wants to talk tough and define the problem, and it's the easiest thing in the world to do. It's easy to point out, hey, the house is on fire. That house across the street is burning. Do y'all see that? This house is burning down. It's a whole lot of other thing to get some water and go put the fire out. These people don't know what they're doing. I'm so frustrated with them right now. And part of me just wants to throw my hands up in this election. All right. Let me move on to some other stuff. Let's go back to the war in Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, back in the news again tonight. It's been the dominant thing, especially with the oil markets this week. There's some back and forth going on about whether or not the Iranians are trying to mine the Strait of Hormuz. They don't have a navy, so to speak. We've destroyed that. But now there have been some reports from mainstream media that they're dropping thousands of mines around in the strait. Trump, for his part, his team just said that in the air, and that they also that if and then is going to breaking coming still the mine in there after the going if it still down around $90, $85. It hadn't shifted a whole lot this afternoon. Okay, trying to keep up with all this at the same time. 545-9950 is the phone number. We got a busy afternoon going. Y'all, Axiom Tax Resolution Group, just to add insult to injury, you're paying for all these moron salaries, and they're coming after their money if they think you owe them money, even if you know you can't pay it, or maybe you don't owe it and you've gotten sideways with this big collection agency. My man Perry Cronin can straighten that out. He knows his stuff. Let him help. I'm telling you, let him help. Be able to sleep again at night. That's so important when you get in the box. with these threats from the IRS. They'll freeze your whole life. They'll freeze your pay. They'll put liens on your properties. You won't move till they get their money. You can make that stop if you've addressed the problem with them. If you're working on a solution and you need professional help to do that, you just can't take them on by yourself. That's where Perry comes in. He knows the real deal. He understands the laws better than some of those agents. He knows the settlement programs, what you're allowed to assert, how to assert your rights so that you can stop the harassment, and what they're willing to settle for. He's got a good gauge on that and who to talk to get that done. And he can get you past it. He can get you in a payback plan that makes sense. It's Perry Cronin, Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. All right, it's 3:49, Leland Live. I was hanging out with Craig Westbrook today. It was a long story. We were meeting with another guy, and then we went over to Beham Broker, and he's got an exciting new part to his business we're going to be telling you more about in the days to come. Maybe even a ribbon cutting next week. I'm excited for the growth that those guys have. I was looking around every time I'm down there. I look around at the cars. They got some mighty fine. AJ, they got some Ferraris you might be interested in down there. They got a huge selection of Porsches down there. They got some cars. Some guy who's got some kind of podcast or internet thing brought him like one of those big $200,000 G wagons. He's got one of those. Look, Craig years ago came up with a brokerage business, and he brokers cars for people who are not going to go through the hassle of selling their own vehicles, and they're smart enough not to go take it to a dealer and get a wholesale ripoff price. So Craig is the intermediary. They'll get that thing marketed out into the world, sold at a retail price, do all of that work. If it needs a little bit of service work or tune up or a little bit of prep, they can do that for you too. And just get it out there, get it marketed, get it haggled, get it sold, transact the deal, do all the paperwork, and move on to the next car. And they are moving some cars right now because they're buyers everywhere. Top dollar right now if you're ready to put yours on the market. And you got people now. You don't have to do these things. You're just like the rich guy with the G-Wagon. Even if it's a Ford or a Chevy or a Toyota, they'll get it sold for you down at Birmingham Broker. Downtown, 4th Avenue South, BHAMBroker.com, BHAMBroker.com. All right, let's do a couple more phone calls as we continue to chase headlines this afternoon. Jeff is in Bibb County. What's up, Jeff?
Yes, sir. What I was wondering, you were saying something, Congress is fixing to go on a break?
Well, they take all these normal recesses that some are scheduled and some are not.
Yeah, recess.
Yep.
Wouldn't there be some way to, when you got stuff like this looming, that you say, no, hell no, you're going to stay here till this is fixed?
Well, if they cared about us, the decent people in this country, they would do that. But what they tend to do is they have these scheduled recesses where they're going to go home in August around the holidays and the 4th. They go home at Christmas and they take these 2-week breaks. And then they schedule things themselves, either in their personal lives or fundraisers, especially in an election year.
Right.
And they're not going to give up their personal plans to stay there late. They got to get home because
Well, why
somebody
would
has
you
bundled a
do
bunch of
that?
donors.
They work for us.
They really don't. They work for donors. We pretend they work for us.
Exactly, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I overtalked you.
No,
I'm sorry
you're good,
about
man.
that.
You're good. No problem.
It pisses me off that these people just keep surviving,
Oh, yeah.
and we're the ones suffering and paying the price.
Well, we're going to keep
But
up with it. The most
that-
we can do is just keep score on them, and that's what we're going to try to do here.
Right, and that's all I wanted to say. Thanks, brother.
All right, man.
Enjoy your show.
Thank you, man. There's 545-9950. That somehow, excuse me, I hit the wrong button. That somehow has taken over as sort of the lead story right now, even over some of this Iran stuff this afternoon. Let me get back to that for a minute. There was a little bit of confusion, at least maybe it was on my part, about the idea of mining boats, dropping mines into the Strait of Hormuz, creating another sort of fear situation. Here's what the president said. He said that we had bombed from the air and taken out 10 inactive mine ships that we were able to spot and remove, so they could not have the capacity to lay the mines. There's some other reporting, and it's coming from outlets like CBS, which means you can't trust it at all. They're looking for anything negative they can grasp with regard to the story. You know what they're seized on today is injuries. They don't have a high enough death toll to get people freaked out about this thing. So now they're seizing on, well, how many injuries have we had? And, presumably there's been hundreds of injuries. There have been bombs lobbed at bases all over the world. It's amazing it hasn't been worse. So they're looking for anything negative, dissonance between the president and the vice president. That was one of the questions that came up today. Anything that makes it look like the plan's not on track, and it is on track. I mean, I'm not even blowing sunshine. I'm extremely impressed at the efficiency of it and the effectiveness so far of what we've been able to do. But yeah, we don't know that mines have been laid. The president put out a statement saying, if the mines are laid, we expect those to be picked up, or we're going to punish Iran for it. I don't know when the mines were laid. Some people also speculate that the Iranians have access to technology, which is kind of these stalker torpedo things. In other words, instead of a torpedo that's fired and aimed at a ship that it's trying to sink from a position somewhere, these things are like drone torpedoes, and they activate them and put them in the water. And I think their fuel supply, whatever that is, can go like 4 weeks. And they sort of search around in an area hunting for a boat to hit. Now, that's a nightmare scenario. I don't know if that technology is real or it's imagined by people that are trying to be logistics and military experts right now. But that story has been out there today too. I think some of it is just to continue to spook the cattle in the mainstream media over this whole situation in the Strait, because the Strait got opened back up this week. And of course, that helped the oil markets. Real quick, I got two other stories. Let me shove these in before we go back to the calls. I've just got them on my list of things to keep up with. Today, Yamaha, the big giant company Yamaha, which makes all kinds of stuff, been in California for 50 years. It was their original headquarters when they came here from Japan. They are leaving California for Texas. No, excuse me. I think they're leaving for Georgia. So it's an embarrassment to Greasy Gavin. This dude can't keep a business over there. It is a hostile business environment. So after 50 years of business, Yamaha saying we can't do business here anymore. We got to move. They're going to Georgia. It's a huge win for Georgia. Marquee name brand all over the world, massive corporate headquarters. I don't even know how many employees are involved. And then at the same time that story came out, Exxon, the mega oil company, headquartered in New Jersey, announced they're getting out of New Jersey. They're going to Texas, which makes more sense to me. It's another in a series of businesses going to more business-friendly states and getting out of some of these states that are being driven in the ground. Brad is in Helena. What's up, Brad?
You know, it's a sad day when we have a senator that is clearly brain damaged from a stroke that can realize that voter ID is a good thing to have. And our senator here in Alabama does not think it's a good idea. And the leader of the Senate as well.
You talking about Fetterman? Are you saying Fetterman? Yeah, Fetterman has been voting with us on it. Yeah. Well, are you referring to Katie Britt?
Yeah.
Well, she says she's for the SAVE Act. In fact, she's on Mike Lee, who's pushing it the hardest in the Senate, came to her defense this weekend after Fox News inaccurately had her on a list. They put a bunch of pictures up of senators that are still resisting it, and they had her on that list, and her team had to freak out and put that fire out because she was getting lit up. By the way, if you want to be entertained, look at any of her social media. The minute she'll post something like, "Here, I'm here with the mayor of Frog Hollow that came to D.C. today. Me and the mayor just talking about business." And underneath there, it's like, "Go to hell, pass the SAVE Act." People are lighting her up on it. But honestly, she says she's for it. I assume she's for it. But she comes out today and does a news conference with Thune because she really wants to move into the leadership position in that body. And it doesn't square with her being for Cornyn and all this other stuff that she does.
Hey, what did you think about Mayor Smooth and Mayor Pete getting together? Do you think they talked about how to fix the potholes in Birmingham and in Fort Wayne?
They brought Pothole Pete to Birmingham to get all his expertise on potholes. And I'm sure there was.
What a joke.
I'm sure they talked about nuclear physics and probably Nietzsche in that meeting. It was probably heavy and very intellectual.
And one last thing.
While they were playing chess, chess with each other and Trivial Pursuit while discussing philosophy and nuclear science. I'm sure that's how that meeting went.
Right. But one last thing, as far as CBS and the injuries that are happening, there was injuries happening every day in the military, and war's not happening when we're not in any kind of conflict. So that's just a bunch of crap.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's just typical.
Yeah,
it's like you said, anything that can stir up something to put somebody, like go throw a bomb, downtown, New York or somewhere. So.
Oh yeah, they have not been able to get a handle on a narrative to make the war ugly for Americans yet. And something could happen that they could seize on. They tried the bombing at the girls' school. How about all the girls that have been raped and imprisoned and murdered by the Tehran regime? And by the way, the Iranians bombed their own girls' school. They're seizing on injuries because they don't have a death toll, and they're looking for anything they can to dirty up the war.
Yeah, well, I have a coworker. His wife is actually from Iran. His family was from Iran from back when they all came back over during the 70s. And
well, Brad, look, man, I gotta go to the. Sorry, buddy. I just got to go to the top of the hour. It's a hard break. Back in a minute.